Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in great spirits, as it should. At least I hope it does find you in good spirits. But you know, we're here to just kind of give you guys a little bit of some updates in regards to this case. And it's, you know, like I said before, it's very empty right now. There's not a whole lot of information still. We are still on the search for this young 9-year-old girl, Charlotte Sena. I've heard people say Sena, 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 even like John Cena. But it's, from my understanding, Sena. Okay. We are still looking right now, but there's some new information. You know, of course, the parents of this young girl have talked. They've been speaking out about this. There have been family friends that have been talking as well, which we are going to be looking at as well. Family friends talking about everything. And again, I mean, this is everybody and their mama getting involved in this case. Everyone. Every CI, every acronym you could think of, all hands on deck, y'all. All hands on deck. But before we get everything started, please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Crush it. Make it scream out your name. That would really mean a lot. If you're watching on Facebook, for those of y'all who are watching on Facebook, make sure you hit that reaction button down below. Okay, you know the drill. And for those of y'all who are watching on YouTube, don't forget to crush that subscribe button if this is your first time checking out the show. Same thing for y'all on Facebook. Make sure you hit that follow button, please and thank you. That'd be greatly appreciated. And of course, it'd be great to have you a part of the Pascal Show family on both platforms. Okay, guys, we got some things we got to get into. There's a lot going on here. There's still a lot going on. And it's, like I said, I don't know. We don't have everything yet. They don't have any answers yet, which is really, really crazy. There's a lot of questions. There's some speculation and rumors running around here, running amok in these internet social media streets that I have not heard or seen any confirmation on. Like, for example, they have footage of the actual act of her being taken. I have yet to see anything, any proof of that as of yet. But then again, they are playing a lot of things very, very close to the chest. But, of course, we'll see what happens. Reese Cup, honestly, I do not know if there's going to be a press conference today. Maybe there's going to be one later on this evening, but I have yet to hear anything as of yet. But I will make sure we look at that before the show is over to see if the New York State Police have made any type of statements on their Twitter, social medias, okay? But for so far, from what I know, Bupkis, I haven't heard anything. And I've been watching like a hawk. And I'm sure a lot of other people who have been covering this case, because a lot of people are getting savvy to this case right now as we speak. Trust and believe. If I don't see it, somebody else will, okay? And we're going to find something very, very soon. Misty just asked if we can get a recap. Don't you worry. Sit tight. I'll give you guys a little bit of a recap in this conversation. But one of the things, though, I do want to show you guys this, too, really quick, because, you know, there is a family out here that is desperately trying to find their loved one. And here is a photo of the family. All right. The parents are David and Trisha Sena, or Sena, sorry. See, now I'm even pronouncing it wrong. But David and Trisha Sena. And as you can see, there's Charlotte right in front of her dad, David. Okay? So we are going to look at some things. We got a couple things we got to talk about, which don't worry, we are going to go through a bunch of things. There's a lot of, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions, as do I. Okay. But don't worry, we are going to be going into a little bit of a recap for those y'all who are kind of late to the party. I know a lot of y'all may be just getting new to this case, and showing that understandably, you're going to want to care. Okay. And this is still within the within the first 48 hours, if I'm correct. And it's crucial, as they say, the first 48 hours are crucial. Now, is that 110% true anymore? I don't know. The timeline in which someone can go missing, I feel it is a lot faster nowadays. Is a lot faster nowadays, and just in my personal opinion, because of technology. They can sit there and watch a press conference and find out, okay, what do they know? What don't they know? Oh, are they hot on my trail, or are they completely off base? And if they find out, oh, they're hot on my trail, then they switch things up. They find new ways to cover their trail, so on and so forth. But no matter what, taking a child, taking a person takes seconds. Literally. Doesn't take 15 minutes, takes seconds for someone to go missing, to be taken just like that. We saw it with the Eliza Fletcher situation. She was running 1 minute, the next minute she was gone. And it was seconds. Very little struggle, threw her into the car drove off, she was gone. Seconds, right? So, and, I see Timid Storm just said, this doesn't sound promising. I feel like never give up on hope. Anything is possible. We have heard we've seen and witnessed through this show together, holding hands, through all the crazy cases that we've covered. We've seen anything is possible. So I'm going to hold on to hope. But I do understand people erring on the side of, this doesn't sound too promising. But at the same time, I'm going to hold on to hope. And hopefully the person that allegedly took her comes to their senses and brings her back home or lets her free. Okay? Now, WFLA is going to be breaking down new info. When? Do you know when that's going to happen? Karen? Or Corinne? Karen. Let me know, 007. Okay? Let me know. I'm going to keep an eye out for that. But just so you guys know, because like I said, some of y'all are still new to the party. And I'm thinking about, well, I'm not going to say that out loud. I'm thinking about, talking with y'all, but I haven't made a decision on that quite yet. Okay. But search is underway. Man, it's still ongoing right now. Okay. Don't worry. We're going to get to the title, but some of y'all want a little bit of an update. So right now, 3 p.m. Eastern or 3 p.m. Central. So he's live right now. Hold up, guys. He's live right now. Give me a second, because I'd like to know what he knows too. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see what's on and popping. Don't forget to hit that like button down below. Hold on, WFLA. Spadoosh. Let's see what they say here. Anything yet, but I'm sure he's gonna be starting something soon. Okay, but well, if he got updates, we will find out soon enough. Hopefully he'll start fairly soon, but you know how it is. He's doing it. They're doing their warm up. He's got to look at his 17 screens to make sure he's got everything set up and ready to go, because he is a one-man band, just like myself. But once he gets started, we will get into the conversation. And that's interesting. I'm glad that y'all told me. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. Okay. Thank you so much for the update. So we're going to find out some updates here very, very soon. Okay. From JB. Okay. But don't forget, yes, Debbie, thank you so much. Thank you. Hit that like and reaction button wherever you're watching this show, Facebook or on YouTube. I appreciate it. Okay. But Jackball, I agree. I wish I had more screens. Trust me, man. This place would be, this would look like the inside of a UFO. Trust me. I'd have screens everywhere if I had that kind of budget. You feel me? But let's see. Is he talking? No, still warming up. Now, the thing is, of course, they are still ongoing in their investigation. It is still an ongoing situation. Now, this young girl went missing. Okay, well, here we go.
Stream Center, we're about to get underway with the latest on the urgent search for missing 9-year-old Charlotte Sena in upstate New York. I just want to let you know, we got people filing in here on YouTube and in some other places. We're just trying to get our second guest loaded into the WFLA Now Zoom room. So stand by. We are, of course, waiting for our guests to just kind of get situated. We'll begin the live stream here momentarily. Stand by.
Oh, come on. Come on. Damn it. Okay, well, they got us all revved up, and then they're like, and hold on for five more minutes. Thank you very much. We're going to get to that. But let me just let you guys know, a young girl by the name of Charlotte Sena, all right? This is what she looks like, just so y'all know, okay? And, of course, they're going to be playing it all over through this WFLA stream here in just a minute. But she is 9 years old. She went missing after she was taking a ride on her bicycle with a bunch of her friends that were there for like this little picnic camping trip type of thing. She was going around this loop or this path called Loop A, which is a very short loop from what I'm gathering right now. She had finished a loop or like a trip around that loop with her friends. And when she came over, she went to her parents and said, hey, I want to do one more round. You know, I got this. I want to show you that I'm a big girl. So the parents said, all right, go ahead, do your thing. Enjoy. She went on to that ride and she never returned. The parents were sitting there sat there for 15 minutes going, wait, doing their thing. And suddenly it came to them realizing that she had not come back. They said it's about a 5-minute round trip ride. So it shouldn't have taken her that long. So 15 minutes after she disappeared, or 15 minutes after she went off with the bike, she did not return. They went looking for her. They found her bike within 15 minutes of that. After that, that's when they called 911 at around 6:45-ish p.m. And of course, they were trying to find where their daughter is. So that was on September 30th. That's when she was last seen. And of course, all of us are wondering where the heck she is. What happened? There was an Amber Alert that was issued. They are still believing that she has been taken. There was questions about surveillance cameras and whatnot. They did not give us a straight answer. 5-0 during the press conference did not give us a straight answer as far as, are there surveillance cameras? And if there are, was there anything captured of her being snatched off the path of Loop A? They did not answer that. Now, we did our first map time. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We did our first map time ever. Yeah, I felt like an old man right then and there. But I did learn a new trick. I did learn a new trick. So there it is. We did a tour of the actual Loop A. And the thing is it's not like Loop A is just a path and just a whole bunch of grass with no trees. It is heavily wooded. It's a heavily wooded area. So by her going and taking that quick little trip around Loop A, anything is possible. Anything is possible. Also, that loop is next to a street that goes off to the interstate. Feet away from this street that goes off into the interstate. So anybody could have pulled up, gotten out of the car, took her without anybody seeing her, which is absolutely terrifying. So it looks like they're going to be getting started here in a minute. And like I said, I didn't have plans to listen and watch WFLA, but I'm more than happy to give you guys the updates and all that as well. There is more with this other article that I was planning on showing and sharing with you guys. We are going to look at that after we listen to what JB has to say, because I'm sure he's got a lot of insider information that I don't have. That's the wonderment of being a part of a big news station, right? So hopefully we'll be hearing something very, very soon. So right now, Amber Alert is still issued. As far as we know, she is still out there. No one knows where she is. There is speculation and theory that she may have been taken against her will. It is very easy. It would be very quick for that to happen. So let's see what JB has to say right now.
Live from the Stream Center in Tampa, Florida. Top stories, breaking news, interactive coverage in the palm of your hand. This is WFLA Now, powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY.
Let's go.
Here's JB Buno.
Buno. I say Buno.
An urgent search at a campsite in upstate New York as 9-year-old Charlotte Sena hasn't been seen since a bike ride at Moreau Lake State Park nearly 48 hours ago. New York officials say she might have been abducted, but so far today, almost no new information as multiple agencies and volunteers look for any sign of Charlotte. We're live here in the Stream Center to break down what is happening at this hour. Hello there to you folks. JB here with you in the Stream Center. A lot going on in the last few minutes, but we're going to try to get to the very latest on Charlotte Sena, missing 9-year-old in upstate New York at Moreau Lake State Park, 35 miles north of Albany. I'm sure that a lot of our audience members tuning in have heard of this story so far at this point, but let me just quickly break down some of the basic information at this hour. It was Saturday evening when she, again, right here on your screen, adorable little Charlotte Sena, went missing while on a bike ride at Moreau Lake State Park. It's a campsite, again, 35 miles north of Albany. She was there with family and friends. Her and a few friends were on bicycles riding around Loop A at the state park when she went around one more time, and it was on that trip by herself when she vanished, disappeared. This has become a massive search, a missing child alert put out, then an Amber Alert put out the following morning, and now at this stage, here we are, this Monday, October 2nd, 2023. Still many questions persist as to exactly where she is. Now, we know that there's possibly an abduction that has taken place. That's why you see on the bottom of your screen, we have activated Share to Help. If an abduction took place, if someone nabbed her, took her away from upstate New York, there's a lot of different places in the world she could be right now. Of course, really honed in on the northeastern United States. But if an abduction took place, seeing these images of Charlotte on your screen, she could be sighted at rest stops, gas stations, restaurants. It's really important that we get out these images as much as possible. And of course, social media has been great so far as sharing this story. The story really today becoming a national story.
International.
Upstate New York. I'd like to bring in Jennifer Koffendorfer, our guest, joining us here. You might have seen her on News Nation. And Jennifer, let's start right here.
Correct.
News Nation reporting in the last hour, and multiple agencies also reporting this as well, that the FBI has now joined in on this search effort. I want to break down exactly what that means going forward as far as the resources available. But first, let me just begin by saying good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, JB. Good to be here. I wish it were under better circumstances. These are the worst cases. Children that go missing and that are believed to be abducted. I can tell you, bringing in the FBI, I'm glad to see it. I think it's it is a little bit late. I would have liked to seen it earlier, only because of the manpower, the resources, the technology, the experience that comes with the Bureau. But the state police are doing a great job. The locals, I'm sure, are doing a great job. It's just they need more help. This is a 6,000 plus acre park, and they've got to comb through every square inch of that. If she was abducted, it is likely impossible, certainly, that she could still be at that park somewhere. I think it's more likely that she would have been taken off the grounds, but they have to cover every square inch of those grounds.
Yeah, it's of course encouraging to see that the FBI is now officially involved, and we're paying attention as well on social media for updates. But there was obviously a lot of action on this story yesterday when the word was just getting out. When the Amber Alert went out, people were checking their phones. The governor of New York, you don't really see it too often when the governor of a state is at a press conference, really the day after a massive search, of course, is begun. But of course, Kathy Hochul, that's the governor of New York. Albany is the capital of New York. She's not too far away, so she's able to quickly get up there 35 miles north and go to Lake Moreau State Park. We're going to show you that here in just a minute. But today, Jennifer, there hasn't been too much. We just got news a short time ago that the FBI is involved. But other than that, since the search efforts began at 6:30 this morning around the time of first light, there hasn't been too much. And that, of course, just makes everyone a little bit uneasy, right?
It does, but there's so much going on behind the scenes. We're seeing the search efforts here, but there's a lot going on that has nothing to do with this search. This is a two-pronged investigation at this point. This is the search aspect that we're seeing photographs and film of. But what's also going on are interviews, obviously canvassing all the individuals that are sexual predator violators that are in that area. And I can tell you, I took a look and there's many for them to look at. There was another case that was only about 19 miles from there that took place very recently, where an individual was stalking, if you will, and looking in one instance at young children there at another state park. So they're really doing the intelligence-based side of the investigation right now, and also looking at all the camera footage. There's a possibility, I looked this up, there was trail cameras that are at most of these New York State parks. We don't know if there's any cameras or trail cam involved in this, but JB, we can hope.
Yeah,
a lot.
Of course, there was the erroneous information that was put out on some social media platforms about there being video evidence of the abduction. Of course, everyone remember, when we have a situation where we're not getting too many updates from authorities, from credible sources of information,
lies,
people will use that opportunity to try to share out information to get clicks,
speculation.
To generate attention their way. Just be mindful of where your information is coming from, and don't believe everything that you see and hear. Always ask yourself, where is this information coming from? This live stream is interactive. We are going to be bringing on another guest here momentarily. I believe he is still hanging out in the waiting room, and we have a few more guests that are scheduled here over the course of the live stream. Let me also point out here that if we hear anything about a press conference, we're going to carry it here live. What we have seen so often in the past is in a situation like this, where, of course, a story goes from local to the national level, and you don't hear a lot over the course of the day. What that usually means is towards the end of the day, you might get a press conference. That's based on past stories, of course, that we have covered. But I want to be clear, no press conference has been called at this time. If it does happen, we are going to carry it right here on this live stream in the hours ahead. But I want to bring in some of the comments that are coming in, and I want to start with Doris here on Facebook Live. And again, you can use hashtag. You see the hashtags on the white stripes underneath our names, hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJennifer. If you use one of those hashtags, it goes right into the queue here on my screen in the stream center here to the left. And I can load up your comments on screen, but only if they use one of those hashtags. That allows us, of course, to look at the comments that from people that want to actually be featured here on the live stream. So we go to Doris's from Facebook Live, hashtag HeyJB. Did they find the bike? And yeah, they did find the bicycle about 6:45 on Saturday evening. That's not too, that's pretty much right after the time when she was initially
missing,
determined by her family to be missing. This is, you can almost picture it, right, Jennifer? A little girl excited to be at a campsite, a beautiful day in upstate New York, goes to a campsite with her family, just is loving going around doing laps around this campsite and just wants to do one more, almost begs. You can almost envision a scenario where that little girl, where Charlotte asks, okay, can I do one more lap all by myself? And it was on that one additional lap when she was by herself that she vanished. And yes, the bicycle was found.
Well, you know, JB, this case almost perfectly, in a lot of senses, mirrors the Amber Hegman case, which was the whole reason for the Amber Alert beginning back in Arlington, Texas, where she was on her bike and she was actually with her brother, and she decided to go it alone, you know, just for one last ride without her brother, and was taken and was found, of course, about 4 days later. That case was worked off my squad, the Violent Crime Squad in Fort Worth. And it's just heart-wrenching that case was never solved. And the whole reason the Amber Alert was instilled was so the information could get out very quickly when you had a young person like this not be accounted for.
Yeah, it's, of course, it's terrifying to think about the scenario of just one more lap being allowed. And you mentioned this earlier, though. Of course, one of the first starting points I would imagine for law enforcement, Jennifer, is going to be any convicted felons in the area, right? Anybody with a record in the area of Lake Moreau State Park. How quickly are you able to access that information if you are local authorities in New York State Police?
Oh, really, just within minutes. And then from there, so let me tell you, JB, the last case I worked as an agent was a 6-year-old, a little boy that went missing. And so I was brought in to run that command post. And what happens is you show up and there's all these hundreds that are already working the case. And so it's a matter of really getting with each official and finding out, where are we at on the grid search? What resources do we have? What are the interviews looking like? Who do we need polygraph? What's it looking like in terms of the, as you said, convicted felons that are there, that are registered with the sex registry? Blah, 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 blah. You start in and you just have to sort of look at all of this information. And what the Bureau brings in, besides investigative resources, are clerical resources that can come in and sort of manage this mountain of influx of information and purposefully put out leads to all the individuals. This person needs interviewed. This area hasn't been looked at. This cabin hasn't been looked at. We need somebody to go through all the information about who is staying at the campground. How about all the workers that work at that campground? There's so much to go through, JB, and that's what's going on right now behind the scenes.
Yeah, here's a map of Loop A, which of course people have really honed in on because that is the loop where Charlotte Sena went missing and where her bicycle was found. You know, I did a little bit of, I did some checking and trying to get an idea as to how large this loop was. And I just a little bit of just Google Maps, you make a point and you go all the way around. It's almost exactly a third of a mile. Or if I think it's about 5 or 6 football fields to be exact. So that gives everybody some perspective as to just how large this loop is. But as our commenters are noting, it's right there off of Old Saratoga Road. Folks, we're going to load up our next guest to join Jennifer and I. Stand by. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Okay. Now okay. So obviously he said updates. I haven't heard anything that we haven't already heard yet. Now, I know some of y'all might be really, really new to this, so this is great for those of y'all who are very new to this story, because obviously, I mean, it's brand spanking new, y'all. This story is brand spanking new, so I get that a lot of y'all are going to still kind of not be completely on point with this particular story, but it is interesting because he said updates. I haven't heard any updates as of yet. Things that we talked about last night are being basically repeated right now. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be more information or maybe some new updates here very soon. But we do have a few pieces of information like what Raven just said. Yes, the loop A is literally a third of a mile. Yeah, it's not that big. It's not, but it's scary. that someone could
Duty,
go.
Ron, I get to bust your chops.
All right, Jennifer.
I think it's scary that somebody can go do that. And like I said, it's seconds. But we got Duty Ron over here too.
Tired NYPD detective, runs a great YouTube channel on his own, has already been on this story. Yeah, Jennifer, you wanted to bust his chops a little bit there, didn't you?
I got to bust your chops, Duty Ron, because I'm usually the one with technical difficulty. You actually ship me something to help me with my technical difficulties, and look, I'm all ready to roll now.
Yeah, Jen, I always like to roll with the punches here, but I don't use Zoom per se. If JB was using StreamYard, I would have been a wizard, but I'm not a Zoom guy. So I tried to get my phone in the landscape mode and I was sideways. It was a mess, but here we are. This case, JB, thank you for having me on and inviting me. Just a difficult search, 6,200 acres, a state park upstate, just a little bit north of Albany. And just difficult at best.
Yeah, so a couple of New York connections here between Duty Ron and myself. I went to school in Albany. I was there for 4+ years. Needed an extra semester to graduate, you guys, because of that's a long story. We're not going to get into that. But
So
I actually have gone camping. It's not too close to here, but something similar to the Lake Moreau State Park. And again, I know. I still know I have tons of friends in Albany, and they're all, of course, talking about this story and people who have volunteered their time. New York State Police, multiple agencies now being involved. I wanted to ask the two of you here your thoughts on where this is today. We don't have, as the media, the public, as people that are just clamoring for any new information on this story. We don't have, obviously, that inside access. But what we do have is someone who is a retired New York City police detective, somebody who's a retired FBI agent. What do you think the search for Charlotte Sena looks like
Thank you,
today?
Maud.
Duty Ron, why don't we start with you?
Love you too.
Okay, well, JB, it's an enormous search area, 6,200 acres, as you guys were speaking about earlier. It's a tremendous amount of space to cover. Now, we know that they had air assets. They had, dogs in there. They called dogs of other kind, bloodhounds and so forth. This is, again, a massive on-taken by the state police. They have the FBI, which was called in. They're going to leave no stone unturned. But according to my information, that this park was packed with people. There was no extra campsites. That Loop A, each one of those campsites were occupied because it was a great weekend. So people are trying to get in their last digs before the summer turns into the winter. So this place was a lot of people. But the good news is Loop A is right at the entrance of that park. So when you enter the park, there's a small gatehouse, and then they have to release the gate to let you in after you register. As soon as you make that right-hand turn, the very first street is Loop A. So it's right at the entrance and exit of that park. So hopefully they have some type of video surveillance at that booth. I'm hoping. I looked, I didn't see any, but maybe they had something inside. That's what we hope for. Anybody that could have gotten some kind of view of somebody leaving that location, because it was a very short period of time.
Jennifer, obviously video surveillance, if it does in fact exist, if there's any surveillance system of any kind, it's crucial to this case, no?
Absolutely crucial. And as Ron pointed out, there were a lot of people there, and when you're there and you're in this festivity mode, you're with your family, you're celebrating, you're taking a lot of pictures. So I'm also hopeful that maybe somebody there that was just enjoying their time could have possibly gotten a photo of either a vehicle, of a person, of something that transpired that might be proved to be important. I always go back to the Bethunes, seeing that white van, not thinking anything of it, and until they realize they go through, their photographs and realize how important it was. Maybe that happened here.
Yeah. And of course, with, the possibility of there being video, that of course,
that sound effect is
enormous to the case. But at what point, I want to ask the two of you, at what point does this become a clear abduction, or is it possible for this to become an obvious abduction. If they scan the woods and they look in the immediate, I mean, a 9-year-old can only get so far on foot in the woods, correct?
Facts.
So if an abduction took place, at what point do you start to say, okay, an abduction is far more likely than just her being missing in the woods or going off on her own?
Jen, I'm going to yield to you first. Ladies first.
Well, this is how we look at it. It's a matter of possibilities. There's 3 possibilities. 1, she jumped off that bike. She saw something interesting in the wood, chasing a squirrel, whatever. She took off. Maybe she hurt her ankle, something happened, and she was somewhere in those woods on her own walking capability. The other aspect we always look at first and foremost are the people in her inner circle, family, that she was there with. Could they have been involved, something like that? So those are the first 2 things you look at. Once you eliminate those, which you could do pretty darn quickly, usually, there's only a 3rd option, and that is abduction. She didn't disappear into thin air. Somebody would have had to take her.
Yeah.
JB, I'd add, in addition to that, a 4th option, which is indigenous wildlife. We know that there's black bear up in that region. And in 6:15, I have notification to the New York State Police. What I'm, more concerned with is, again, they're going to go down their checklist. They're going to try to eliminate all of the potential.
Internet's
scenarios
crapping out on them.
We did complete loop A, and I think it was around a quarter of a mile, 1/3 of a mile, maybe. It's a small amount. It's not a large space, and that's why they said after 15 minutes she didn't show up. Concerns started happening. I'm looking at the bicycle for forensics. I'm looking for tire tracks, footwear impressions, all of the cell tower information. And we heard the state police spokesman. He talked about electronics. So I would imagine they were doing geofencing and all the different forensic data that's available, with the FBI helping along with that. Also searches of the campsites, and every single camper has to be questioned and or interviewed and interrogated at some point. And that's a huge undertaking, because we know about how many people were there. But definitely, that indigenous wildlife, that's a possibility, but there would be clear indicators there. And that's the reason why they have, in their press conference yesterday, made that bold statement of an abduction. You don't hear that often. You don't hear them go to that within that 24-hour period. But we know that 24 to 48 hours is a crucial time for the successful recovery of anyone who's gone missing or has been abducted.
That's
Jennifer,
true.
how much would you be, and we're going to get to your comments, folks, our Facebook audience, our YouTube audience, we're going to get to comments here from you guys in just a second. So any of the hashtags you see on your screen, if you use one of those hashtags with your comment, we're going to pose it to one of our 2 guests here. But
hold on one second. Somebody just asked something, and I got to jump in here. I got to do some of my work here too. So real quick, and we're going to come back to this, I promise. Pascal, are RVs allowed there? From what I saw, I didn't see any RVs in the map thing, but that's something I'm going to look up and see if RVs are allowed. No matter what, I feel like every single person that signed up to get entry into the park that was in the Loop A area and in the surrounding park area should be investigated into. They should be interrogated. They should be investigated, so on and so forth, because anything is possible here. Okay, there's plenty of people that are wolves in sheep clothing hiding in plain sight out here, and they see an opportunity and they grab onto it when they see an opportunity. There is a good possibility of that. Okay, but let's continue here. Let's hear what they got to say.
When you're of course looking at this situation, Jennifer, how much are you, if you are again an investigator, you're an agent on this case, how much are you safeguarding information to not let the media find out about it, because that information could be, of course, precious to the ongoing, you don't want to compromise the ongoing investigation. How much is that actually going on, you think, at this stage?
Well, it certainly is to a degree. The most important thing is that people see her photo, is that people understand what she physically looks like in terms of her size, in terms of her hair. That's the biggest thing that law enforcement wants to get out there. They want all eyes being able to spot her at any location. As you mentioned early on in the programming, she could be at a rest area, at a restaurant. She could be in a vehicle. And so that's what law enforcement wants to get out. As far as the details of their investigation and any particular possible persons of interest that they're looking at, they don't want any of that out at this stage of the investigation.
Anything to add there, Deuteron, before we get to this question for you here?
Sure.
Oh, here,
Someone had seen something with all those people there. Yeah, I mean, 100%. JB, great question coming up on the screen there. There's a strong possibility that someone did see something, but they wouldn't be quick to put that out there because there's so much that we have to keep close to the vest, so we don't trip off or tip off anybody or our suspect or suspects here.
Dang.
And again, I want to just go back to what I was saying about the exit and entrance being close to that loop A. It works to our advantage and it works to our disadvantage, because when you're leaving that park before this incident happened, nobody is searching vehicles. So if somebody in fact did, and we hope and pray that this was not the case, if somebody did in fact scoop her off of that road and place her in a vehicle, nobody was going to search. Nobody searched that vehicle when it left. But if there is the camera devices, which most of these state parks have them inside the booth for the safety of the workers inside that booth. So I'm hoping that there is a camera that is pointing out from both directions, entrance and exit.
how about this question that we just had come in, and it's an interesting one. What is the age that a kid gets a cell phone these days? Is 9 years old too young for a child to have a phone? Because
I've seen 7.
Yeah, Deuteron, you want to hop in here?
I've seen 7.
I want to hop in because I have inside information, valid, verified information. I interviewed her aunt last night on my YouTube channel, and that was and that's a very good question, Ashley. Thank you for asking that. Kids at that age have these phones. I go out with my wife to dinners, and we see families with kids that are 5 years old with tablets and phones.
Yeah, I've seen babies.
I presented that to Jana Sena live on my show, and she said her parents do not allow her to have a cell phone. So she did not have a cell phone.
Dang.
And I was hoping that she would have said, yes, she did have a cell phone for obvious reasons. But we know for a fact from her family that she did not have a cell phone.
I'm gonna run a poll on this. I just because I'm curious as to what these days is the age that a child would be getting their first phone. But interesting. I was talking to one of my neighbors the other day, and one of my neighbors down here in Florida told me, well, she's got 4 kids, and she has AirTags for all 4 of her children. Those are the little circular devices now that can ping other Apple devices, and kind of it creates a mesh network for people to be able to geolocate whatever. People usually put them on key rings or in their wallet, but some people are putting them with their children just so that they have some peace of mind with that. We've heard nothing that any type of tracking device was on Charlotte. But of course, parenting these days, that's not really something that's that far-fetched of a concept, to be able to track where your child is. But this is something as simple, Jennifer, as a child going on a bike ride around a relatively small loop at a campsite in upstate New York. But this is, to Deuteron's point from earlier, this is, I mean, for the aunt who joined his live stream, this is just the entire family. This is their biggest nightmare come to life.
It's everyone's biggest nightmare. My question is, I had read, and maybe Ron knows this answer, that she had a helmet on, and I have not seen any information about a helmet being found. Ron, did you happen to ask the aunt that question last night?
Yeah, Jen, I did because I too was curious about whether she was riding with a bike with a helmet on. It's required in New York State parks to have helmets on, and they do monitor that. So if parents send their kids out there and they're not wearing a helmet, they're subject to fines.
Right.
So I asked Janae that same question, and she said yes, she had a helmet, but they did not recover it.
How big of a clue is that to you, Jennifer?
That's a big clue to me.
It just means that she was snatched.
Literally.
Literally.
Because the helmet was probably with her when she went missing.
Exactly.
And so that makes me more concerned. I wish they would have found it almost somewhere in there because she could have taken it off, but that just tells me something was done more quickly.
Exactly. She was snatched.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to mute this really quick. That clearly means that she was snatched. So that could make sense, or that would make sense why 5-0 is on the side of believing, because they say they believe that she was taken. They have not said anything about proof of her being taken so far, but they believe that she is taken. But you got to be real. Like, she was riding the bike and then suddenly bike ain't there bike is there. Allegedly she was wearing her gray bike helmet, and then suddenly the bike helmet is nowhere to be found. That means somebody came up and just took her, plucked her right off her bike, just like that. Now, I know somebody just said, oh, it could possibly be like a bear. And just said, thank you so much for the comment on YouTube. Said bear is sounding possible, but at the same time, I feel like, wouldn't everybody know that there was a bear? I mean, we went through the tour. We did a tour, like I said, yay, Hercules to me. We did the whole Google Earth tour. We'll do it again just to sassify you guys. But at the same time, you're telling me no one would see a bear? No one would see a bear come up? And then the other thing is now that people are saying like, hey, there was a scream. I have yet to hear anything about any scream, guys. I have heard nothing about any screams. So, and let me tell you, if a bear showed up in that area, and if it was populated like it was in that tour that we did, our own personal little time with the 3D mapping thing, you don't think everybody in their mind would be like, yo, there's a bear, man? Wouldn't they? I don't see a bear taking this young girl so quietly in the night. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I feel like a little girl would scream and freak out, and other people that would see that would also react in a way too. So much that they go, "Oh, damn, there's a bear!" Like, I feel like that would be a big, huge reaction. Verbal reaction, right? So I feel like there would be proof of said animal if there was. I just don't think that there's an animal involved in this. There is an animal, but this is a human being, and that animal is a monster. That's what I believe. I believe somebody was out there, sitting there, chilling, waiting, lurking, probably popping a squat behind some bushes, and took her. Okay? Didn't even give a damn about the helmet. Took her, ran off. That's it. The other thing, though, and I know this is me being crazy. This is probably me being crazy because I've seen too many crazy movies about people being taken and all that stuff. I just feel like they should be looking at every RV, every truck, everything that could have false bottoms or anything that could have any false facades on the interior where she could be in, so on and so forth. I just feel like they need to exercise every possibility with this situation because it could be just that crazy. Because it doesn't seem like this is somebody who just out of nowhere woke up one day and just felt like taking a kid. I feel like this person or persons are professionals. This ain't their first rodeo. Trust if this was their first rodeo, this would not have gone the way it went. At least that's what I think. It just doesn't seem to make sense. But I don't think this is an animal. And I know it's fair to think that and ask that question. By all means, exercise that question. But this is weird, y'all. Somebody was lurking, chilling. Okay? Only question that still remains is, where did this happen? Was this off on the road that gave him access to the interstate? Was that where it happened? Was it on Loop A? Did that person just walk? Because when we did the map time, unless something's changed with the paths and everything, unless there's a gate, fencing around the area along the Saratoga Springs Road, right? Anybody could pull their car over, get out their doggone car, walk right through the woods, go step right onto Loop A, and catch themselves a kid. I hate to say it like that, but that's the truth. Think about it. Don't worry. We're going to go and do Loop A again. We're going to look at Loop A again because I've learned a new trick. So we're going to try that trick again. Hopefully I can execute it. We'll see. But from what I saw, unless there's new updates, and from what I'm seeing in live coverage of her missing right now, zero fencing. So anyone, it doesn't matter. You don't have to walk over to the front office of the park and sign your John Hancock. You can literally park your car on the side and walk right into that mug. Whether you sign it or not, it doesn't matter. You can walk right in all willy-nilly. So who's to say somebody parked their car on the side and walked over? Or somebody came to hang out, visit, saw an opportunity, and struck while the iron was hot. But I do still feel that if she was there, or if she was taken in this fashion, and this monster was on the side of the road, I just feel like, man, did anyone hear a scuffle? A yelp, a kid screaming. Kids scream all the time, when they're playing and stuff. Trust me, I hear a bunch of them in my neighborhood, and I'm constantly going, wait, man, do you think I don't, you don't think I have my head on a swivel reporting all this stuff, all these crazy stories? As soon as I hear a kid screaming in the background, I'm like, wait, what? And I take a moment. I'm like, wait a second. And then I hear laughter, and I'm like, okay, everything's fine. Kids just being kids. But I still wonder if anyone in that area in Loop A heard anything, heard a little yelp, anything, because they could still use some sort of chemical to quickly knock her out and then drag her into a vehicle. Those things are possible. Very, very possible. It's just... The other question I'm going to ask too, and this, man, my heart and prayers go to the family. Real talk. I hope that they find her. I hope that we all help finding her, right? But one of the questions I do have to ask when it comes to the family, did they notice any cars drive off? No, I mean like in Loop A, when they started running around, understandably scared, looking for Charlotte. Did they notice any cars turn on and drive off? Did they notice people packing up and leaving the area right at that time? I'm just saying those are the questions I have in my mind. It's like, did you notice anything? I understand in the frenzy of looking for your own daughter, I'd be scared out of my mind. And my mind would be extremely tunnel visioned on looking for my daughter. But did you notice any activity? Someone just packing up randomly. Yeah, we're about to leave, but praying for you. Hope you find her. Here's our number if you need us, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? I'm just asking the questions. We're going to go back to this, I promise. But I'm just asking the questions. You feel me? But again, I will say this too. And I'll repeat it. I have yet to hear, because I've been hearing I see it in the family chat, okay? I've been seeing it on social media out here in these social media streets, people talking about them saying that somebody heard a kid scream or heard a scream. I have yet to hear any, I have not seen any news reports of that at all. Same thing about the footage of the actual taking of Charlotte. I have yet, same thing with JB. He just said it too. He's like, I have yet to hear anything about that. Rumors fly like crazy. We got to be very careful what we obtain, like what we consume in our brains. I have yet to hear anything about a scream. And I'm going to continue saying that until I hear it from somebody, from somebody, right? Or from a news article, or from the parents or people who are intimately involved in this particular case. But I digress. Let's continue. Let's hear what they got to say.
And can just walk in and pick up a scent, and it's easy, and it really doesn't quite work like that.
Yeah, the good news, JB, is they talked about teams of dogs because, as we know, as Jennifer just pointed out, they cannot just go and work 6-8 hours straight. So they had teams of dogs. They were able to get articles of her clothing and so forth, and get the scent and get right on it. But Jana Sena, when I had her on last night, she wasn't there on location, but I asked her about her confidence level in the law enforcement and the search, and she was immediately said they are doing the best they can. She said it's an impressive amount, 100+ members of the state, local, and surrounding communities, and then you have volunteers who are out there. So she said the family, and she's there, she was boots on the ground there. She said the law enforcement is doing a fantastic job. So kudos to them. And there's really, the dogs are not the answer to it all, but they are very, very important.
Helpful.
She pronounces her last name Sena, not Sena, just so you know.
Okay, yeah, because I had heard that's and Janae as well.
I asked her outright.
So it is Sena.
Like,
yeah, I was embarrassed because I was calling her the wrong name. I was saying, she's like, she made the reference to Jana Sena. She said Sena is pronounced Sena, and it's spelled Cena. We are Sena, Sena.
Yeah, and I went by, pronunciation wise, I went by the governor who spoke at the press conference yesterday and used Sena. So
governors mess up. Governors mess up all the time. Look at what they do with the budget.
They're only human.
Duty Ron's got a bone to pick there in New York State. I love it. Laura,
all governors.
What's that?
All governors, not just Hochul.
Duty Ron joining the program. Jennifer Koffadoff for JB Buno here with you live. Again, if you guys have places to be, I'm just going to start taking more and more questions until you guys tell me that you have to run.
I wanted to piggyback off of something Ron said about the families, how much they appreciate the law enforcement effort. I know Ron's been involved in these. When you're out there, you work almost nonstop. I mean, you're literally telling your people, go get a couple hours of rest and then come back. No one wants to stop working. Everyone is so committed to, finding little Charlotte. And my hat's off to them, because I know they're missing their families and going to continue to miss their families. And they're going to work really 20-hour days trying to find this little girl.
Yeah, we know that. And also too, the volunteers, I keep, obviously with where I am in my life, I'm thinking about it if you were a parent and how you would probably just want to be out in the woods screaming Charlotte's name until your vocal cords gave out. You wouldn't want to ever rest, but I'm sure that police trying to do their very best to keep the family as safe and as protected and as able to assist as possible. I want to get to this comment though, because it's really important. Laura, #HJB, can Duty Ron talk about the reports that she was wearing an orange shirt when in fact we found out last night it was a pink shirt? There's been some confusion. Can you help us clear the air here, Duty Ron?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Thank you, Laura, for that. Laura Thompson. When I had Jana Sena on the show with me last night, I asked her that question as well, because I had the Amber Alert and now it's updated. They had the shirt color wrong, and they also had her height wrong, which is all now updated in the Amber Alert. The shirt is the tie-dye pink that you see here, that you had your producers had up on the screen. It's scrolling through. and this is coming from her family. I wanted to also add to, a lot of people ask, well, how could we help? How could we help? Volunteers are actually being turned away because there's so many people coming with supplies and food and wanting to help. I think right now at the command center, they have it, they're maxed out with people, but I think, and I feel strongly about this, according to my conversations with Janae, if at any time they do need extra people, like extra boots on the ground or people to cover areas of interest, they'll ask for it. But I want to also say that EquiSearch Midwest, JB, you were involved in this fundraiser that I did for them in 2021. Nicole Schmidt, and that's Gabby Petito's mom, and her stepfather, well, I call him Dad, Jim. They were on a show we did with them. EquiSearch Midwest is already, I put them in contact with the state police. They've offered their drone services, which is a specialized program called Locate. It could locate an image, a color, a size of a dime in the middle of a field. They offered their services. I contacted the lead detective, and he is in contact with Twyla and Dave from EquiSearch. They do an unbelievable job, but they stepped right up. As soon as they saw this coverage, they contacted me. They asked me to contact the law enforcement, and I'm the liaison for them. So the wheels are in motion for them to help if needed. But at this point, they didn't. They're not involved yet, but they're communicating with the state police.
All right. I'm paying attention to feeds here in the newsroom here, folks. I'm trying to figure out where this one feed is coming from. And if that's a live camera feed, I'll bring it up. Here in the Stream Center, folks, we're able to access a lot of different camera feeds. And over the course of the day, the feeds that were there at the state park in upstate New York, they were down. They were black because, of course, they're trying to conserve energy, battery power for when they actually do have something to feed back. I can now confirm that this is not a feed from upstate New York, so kind of a false alarm there. But any feeds that do, in fact, pop up, we'll, of course, punch them up here live for you on stream. I'm glad that, Ron, you brought up the drones, right? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, and Jennifer, feel free to hop in here. The drones, if they have thermal imaging, that can help the search efforts continue in an overnight capacity, correct? Because then, of course, you can spotlight a difference in temperature, and maybe if you see something out there with the drones on thermal imaging. But do we know if that technology is being used in this case?
Well, I'm going to jump in just for a quick. Okay, go ahead, Jen.
No, go ahead, Ron.
All right, so we know that the New York State Forest Rangers are involved, and possibly the forestry department, which is a federal part of the resources that are jobbed out on these large scale searches. The thermal imaging is only going to come into play as if obviously we have a thermal image to focus in on. But what I was talking about with the locate, JB, it's locating color. So when you see the bright colors on her shirt, if that was discarded somewhere in the bush, the human eye wouldn't pick that up, even from helicopters and any type of fixed wing aircraft. But with this locate program, it actually picks out anything that's as small as the size of a dime. And it's fascinating technology, and most law enforcement agencies don't have it. It's developed by somebody in Canada.
Very interesting. Jennifer, anything to add there?
No, I was just going to add that with the FBI coming in, there's going to be a lot of these assets now that they are going to bring to bear. And I think that's really important. And again, they're just trying to search to make sure, that she doesn't remain in that area somewhere. So while there's that aspect of this investigation that is very important, I think at this place in time, the intelligence-based aspect of searching for her, in other words, all the interviews that are being conducted and everything that's being conducted in terms of the digital forensics on the cellular phones, all of that is really, I think, a huge part of this case at this point as well.
At what point are law enforcement agencies in other states? I know from spending 4+ years of my life in Albany, I know that the Massachusetts state line is right there. I know that Pennsylvania isn't all that far away either. At what point are law enforcement agencies in other states being contacted in regards to a potential abduction? Again, we have nothing to say that it is an abduction. They're saying it's a possible abduction, but at what point does it become larger in scale regionally with other law enforcement agencies, Jennifer?
I don't think that's going to happen for a few more days unless they have information, of course, that somebody has moved in those directions. Right now, they've got state police, they have all the sheriff's offices, they've got the bureau in. They might bring in other federal assets. I would look for that to happen first before they bring in other assets from other states that are really out of their jurisdiction and venue.
Yeah,
JB, I think
Yep.
what you said was that was a great point that you brought up, because getting a bolo out to the neighboring state police departments and even the smaller town police departments up further north. We know how large the state of New York is. You can go up north and travel all the way up to Niagara Falls. So we're looking at everything from north, south, east, and west. It doesn't hurt. The more people, the more law enforcement agencies who have bolos on Charlotte, the better off we'll be. And I'm sure that I hope that they would reach out to neighboring departments to have it. I'm actually going to reach out to a couple of my NYPD detective friends today just to see if they got it. And I wouldn't even be surprised if that roll calls her picture was mentioned or shown to troops that are turning out.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry, I thought you meant actually coming into the area from other states. But yeah, definitely bolos would be out at all the neighboring states, I believe, as well.
Yeah, that's obviously encouraging news.
Let me pause or let me mute that for a little bit because okay, so I'm seeing a bunch of comments here, and of course, I got to take this with a grain of salt because I don't know who this person is. No disrespect to Brand Drew or anything, but you are saying a bunch of things in here, so of course I'm gonna put it out here because I know a lot of people are reacting to it in the chat. And again, I don't know if this is entirely accurate or not. So I'm just going to take a few pieces from what Brand Drew was saying here. Amber Alert Local didn't go out until 10 a.m. the next day. Let's see. Brand Drew just said, interview me, buddy, because I know her mom. I live right next to them. Let's see. Okay, my wife talked to her best friend at Stewart's that works with her. She called into her at work to divulge a bit of info. But see, that's the thing. It's like, okay, if she called into her at work, I'm wondering why, right? Live a mile away from the job. I also go to the campground yearly. I own not only a house between there, but a lake house just north in Glen Falls. Sorry, guys, I'm getting to it. Promise. Getting to the meat and potatoes. Let's see. The mother was actually just dropping her off and staying with family, then heading back home 4 minutes from me. Interesting. The mother was actually dropping her off and staying with family, then heading back home 4 minutes from me. I'm very interested in that because they made it sound like they all went together, right? They all went to go. And like I said, I'm taking this with a grain of salt because I don't know how much of this is true. Okay. She didn't come around for a final lap before her mom left. Interesting. She didn't come around for her final lap before her mom left. That's interesting to know as well. Now, this is the part that I thought was interesting. Her mom, along with their family, did hear screaming. This was confirmed by her coworker at my local Stewart's. Then they searched for her, found her bike. Then the single croc There was a single crock, and they assume she got taken. See, but that, okay, again, take this with a grain of salt, everybody. Okay. I appreciate all the information, but I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Brand Drew, but I'm just saying, because I have not seen any reports. I have not seen any reports of this, by the way, of the croc, her black croc, one of her black crocs being found nearby where her bike was. Okay. And I mean, yes, I would love to get in touch with the family if that's possible, because that would be see what I'm saying? Because that would be very helpful when it comes to this conversation. Because right now it's kind of hearsay. This is from a friend, from the wife, from somebody else, so on and so forth. I'd love to hear it from the source itself, right? From the horse's mouth. But yeah, this is pretty crazy stuff. Let's see. Brandon Longley. Okay. Let me. I'll search you. I'll look you up in a second. I'll definitely look you up in a second. Okay. Sorry, I'm still reading this stuff. Sorry, guys. It's a lot to consume. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, I would love the family to reach out, but that would be interesting information. And sure, I will. Hold on. Not the case. They dropped her off to stay with her cousins. Interesting. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Okay, so I'm gonna look at this stuff. Like I said, there's a lot being said here, and again, the news is saying one thing. We haven't heard everything from everyone. Like, we haven't gotten everything from the news quite yet, but there is some information I do want to share with you guys before we start going further into more stuff and all that, because there are a few updates that I know of that I wanted to share with you guys. Okay. Not only just the title of this conversation and title of this show, because this is also very important as well. And Brandon, I will be looking you up here in a second, and we'll just hold tight. Okay. Don't leave the stream or anything, because I'm sure people would love to hear your 2 cents on everything here in a second. But real quick, we have this is the information, okay, that I wanted to share with you guys before we even knew anything about WFLA doing any type of updates and all that. But so far, we haven't heard any real updates from them. So there's two pieces of updates that I have. One, of course, they are still believing that she was taken, okay? They still think that there was somebody out there, like, watching her as things went down. So let me just share this with you guys quickly, all right? So we already know missing 9-year-old Charlotte Sena was snatched from her family during a camping trip in a narrow 15-minute window after venturing off alone for a bike ride. Now, but I'm hearing also Brandon saying something about that Charlotte was being dropped off. Like I said, I'd love to get some more clarity on that, more of a concise situation. But Lily Black said it's true about the shoe. It's true about the shoe for real? Okay. That's news to me. I haven't seen anything about a shoe. So unless it was like an interview with Duty Ron that I have not seen yet, I have not seen it written in any articles as of yet. I've only heard about the bike. Now, it could be in this article here. It could be in many other articles now being updated as well. But if the croc was found by her, by her bike, then that's very interesting. So let me get into this really quick. So, of course, she was cycling with her friends. Then she wanted to do one more round. When she did that one more round, she did not return. Okay. Here it is. Some interviews from Duty Ron. Okay. So Amber Alert was issued, or wasn't issued until the following morning after Rangers and police searched the park and found no trace of her. It was a busy, warm evening at the campsite, but no one has yet reported seeing her being taken. Now, New York State Police are frantically looking for the quote-unquote trusting child, and her family are begging for any witnesses to come forward. In the park alone, someone had to have seen something. It was crowded, dinner time, a busy campsite, a 75-degree weekend day. Like I said, it just doesn't make any sense that she went from being out there. You see all these people hanging out. We did that little bit of that tour of the Loop A. You could see that it was even then, it was a very busy time. A lot of people camping, a lot of people using that time to do their thing. And then all of a sudden, she just disappears. You're telling me no one saw nothing? No one saw nothing? It just doesn't make sense to me, y'all. Real talk, it just doesn't. Okay. Real quick, I totally forgot. Let me get this. Tammy, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. We do know this. They wanted to search the park first, but putting out the Amber Alert 18 hours later, unacceptable. I agree. The fact that it took them that long to actually go, yeah, well, let's throw up the Amber Alert now. But at the same time, I get it that they may have wanted to make sure that it wasn't, they had to make sure all their ducks were in a row before they started knocking down a different door. That could be it too. But yeah, the fact that it feels a little bit of a dragging of feet, if you will, in the situation. Mimi, thank you so much for being a member for the past 13 months. And I appreciate the purple heart emojis. Thank you so much in your members chat. I really do appreciate that. Okay. But it's still crazy. Okay. Still crazy. All this. And yes, Melina, I do agree. It's crazy that it took that long, and it could just be part of the game, right? Part of the procedure of issuing an Amber Alert. And it sucks because it gives those bad guys extra time to kick rocks or to move her or any kid in this particular situation. Jocelyn, thank you so much for being a member for 7 months. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support in your members chat. You said, I love your coverage, Pascal. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys watching with me, because you guys could be watching so many other people. So, the fact that you're watching me does mean, and going through this story with me means the world to me. Mimi, thank you so much for the 2 Swiss francs. Really pray for her and fam. Yes, I agree. I'm really concerned. Obviously, I think we all are very concerned about this. And I agree, Lily, it does need to be changed, and I'm wondering what needs to be done so that they can actually make that change happen. Right. But it is crazy. But let's continue on here, okay? Because I want to go back to WFLA as well, okay? But I find it very hard to believe. And of course, I want to look up Brand Drew, because I'd love to get him on to talk, because I'd love to hear his 2 cents on everything here too, all right? I find it very hard to believe that someone didn't notice something. And that's what Jana Sena said during an interview with Duty Ron. And, shout out to Duty Ron for getting that interview quick, New York State Police are confident that she was taken, that Charlotte was taken. But it's unclear if there was any surveillance footage from the campsite that indicates how she was taken. See, that's exactly what I'm saying. Why are you saying out here, oh, we can't talk about that? Man, talk about it. See, this is the issue that I had about it too, and I haven't gotten a chance to say this, but this is the issue I have about this too. Let us know that you have the footage. In fact, put it out. If you have footage of the actual act of her being taken, show us the footage. Do you realize how many detectives, internet sleuths are out here in these streets that could easily go look at that stuff and maybe find a way to break this thing down? Figure out the car, or maybe there's a license plate on it, or whatever. If it shows where she was actually dragged to, so on and so forth. This could explain so much if there is surveillance of the actual taking. Release the hounds. That's what I say. Which is the information? The hounds is the footage. If you have it, release the hounds. Because trust me, you know for a fact, everybody is emotionally attached to the situation, wants to solve the story, this case, and bring this young girl home. So by holding this and holding it close to your chest and going, we may or may not have footage, that's BS, y'all. That's what I think. And I get it, playing close to the chest and all that stuff. I get it. Erring on the side of blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, there's plenty of people out here that could literally go, wait a second, I know that guy. Think about that. Or I know that car. Shoot, we got somebody in the chat right now going, yeah, you know, my wife's this, that, and the third is, you know, pours her coffee at Stewart's off of exit 11. So what are the chances of somebody actually knowing somebody that maybe frequents that park that's involved in this mother lover? So release the footage. It's idiotic, in my personal opinion. It's lazy. It's almost as if they want the evildoers to win. In my worst George Bush Jr. accent. It's like they want the evildoers to win. I'm not with it, y'all. I'm not with it. But again, here's the family. And all they want is their daughter home. All they want is their daughter home. Period. All right? So I don't like that. And they feel there's a possibility that this monster was out here lurking in the streets, chilling, or lurking in the woods, and struck while she was alone. And what's sad is the parents are sitting there going, yeah, go ahead, be a big girl. Go ahead, girl. You're a big girl. Go ahead. We trust you. It's innocent. Not trying to attack the family, no nothing. It's just really, really devastating that moment when they go, okay, yeah, show us how big of a girl you are. And then she doesn't come home or she doesn't return. It's terrifying. It's heartbreaking, guys. It's absolutely heartbreaking. There is something else, though, that I wanted to share with you guys. Police in Massachusetts are monitoring the search for this missing girl as well from New York, because they feel that this person or these persons, these monsters, could actually try to cross state lines and maybe we've talked about this on the other show, maybe try to go to Canada, try to leave the country. So there's a good possibility them trying to head north, them trying to head south. There's so many possibilities. So all surrounding areas of this tri-state area, okay, of New York, all of them should be keeping their heads on a swivel. Real talk. People in Western Massachusetts should keep an eye out for a 9-year-old girl who's the subject of a massive search in upstate New York, police say. They may already be aware of the search for Charlotte Sena after an Amber Alert was issued for her out of Gainesville, New York, north of Albany, Sunday morning. The region affected by the alert stretches into western Massachusetts and southwestern Vermont. Charlotte may have been taken while riding, we got to use these code words, while riding her bicycle Saturday evening. We already know about all that. More than 100 people scoured the park on Sunday by land, air, and water Sunday. And the park remained closed Monday, today, as the search continued. We want her returned safely like any parent would. And that's what Charlotte's family said in the statement, pleading for help in finding the girl. No tip is too small. Please call if you know anything at all. Massachusetts State Police have no information suggesting that Charlotte may have been taken into the state, where there was no active search on Monday, but police in Western Massachusetts were familiar with the case and are monitoring for the girl, says a spokesperson, urging people in the area to be aware of the case and keep an eye out for her as well. See, but what's really frustrating about this, again, what's really, really frustrating about this is if they got surveillance footage, do you think that it would be really helpful if they were to go, here's the surveillance footage so you know that it's a Cutlass Supreme. It's a maroon colored 1994 banged up Cutlass Supreme. Whatever it may be. It's an RV that has a weird tailpipe, or it's a car with a busted window. Whatever it may be. That information will be extremely crucial. And you want to know what I think? And I hate to say it like this. I don't think they have surveillance footage. If they did, that issue would have been out by today. They need everybody's help right now. They need everybody's help right now. But the other thing I do want to point out is maybe this could be like a Gabby Petito situation. Remember when they found the car, the van on the side of the road, those van lifers were driving down and they had the dash cam on and they were driving down the road and the couple were busy putting together their vlog for the YouTube channel, and all of a sudden they found footage of Brian Laundrie. Like, I guess he had parked, if I remember correctly, parked the van on the side of the road. But that was how they were able to find and triangulate and find Gabby Petito's remains. Now, I'm hoping it won't be remains, but at the same time, what about car footage, dash cam footage, etc.? Anybody who is out here Snapchatting, Instagram story posting, anybody who is just straight up vlogging or just capturing a moment. Maybe you caught something in the background that you didn't realize. While you're doing a selfie, maybe you didn't realize that behind you, this little girl was being taken. I'm just saying, I don't think that the footage exists. I don't think that they have footage. They didn't answer straight. They didn't give us a straight answer. And if they did have surveillance footage, it would be plastered all over the news right now. Plastered all over the news. Why wouldn't they want that information out there for everyone to see? Because as soon as everyone sees car, the make of the car, if the license plate is visible, if you can see the monster's face whilst this crime is actually happening, you don't think that's going to help remedy or rev the engines and get us closer to finding justice for this young girl and finding her and getting her safe? This would have been plastered all over. This would have been front page news. All over everything. Now, Brand Drew. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna look you up here in a second. But I'm gonna see solid facts is if you have video and there's a tussle going on and there's an actual act of this young girl being taken, that is hard evidence. That's hard facts. That's more than solid. That's more than solid to me. So, of course, in my mind, I'm going, okay, you'd put out that information. Here's the footage of her getting dragged. Just so y'all can see it. Maybe you know the guy. Maybe you know the person. I'm sorry. Maybe if there's a visible scar, visible tattoos, etc. I'm just saying there's just so much That would really drive a lot of things home. Now, I wonder why that hasn't been taken out. But then again, at the same time, maybe there's more to the video. If there is video, maybe there's a lot more to the video that we don't know. But at the same time, how much more crimes can be committed within the seconds in which she is being taken? So I got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions, man. I got a lot of questions. Hold on. Just give me 2 seconds, guys, because I want to look up this. Brandrew, what's your name again? What's your name? What's your name is? One more again. I might open up the phone lines on for you. But I do want to hear a little bit more from WFLA, see what they got to say. But honestly, they're not really saying anything, not any disrespect to WFLA. It's just that they're not really saying a lot that we don't already know, except that the new updates that I just gave you guys, which is very minimal. It's minimal, y'all. Minimal. All right. Which is, of course, a bit on the frustrating side. Right? Hold on one second, guys. You got your man working. And if you haven't done it yet, please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below, okay? Hit it. Don't forget to crush that subscribe button. Crush that follow button on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook as well. Be greatly appreciated, of course. But I know that we got a lot of questions going on, and of course, understandably, a lot of speculation and a lot of theories running wild, right? But uno momento, por favor. One second. Okay. So I'm going to Brandrew. I'm going to put this phone number in here. Hopefully it works. Okay. But this phone number is only for Brandrew. I just want to hear what he has to say here. Okay. We're going to do a phone call. Actually, before I do that, Brandrew, are you down for jumping on for a quick phone call? Just say yes or no in the chat. Okay. And if it's a yes, I will put this in the chat. This phone number is only for Brandrew or Brandon. Okay. But I'd love to hear what you have to say. Okay. This is the phone number, 314-766-4581. Hopefully it works. We're gonna try that. And if it doesn't work, then we'll figure it out, because I don't know. Sometimes y'all can hear it and sometimes you guys can't. Okay. But it is here for y'all. Hold on one second. Oops. Let's see what's going on here. Hello? Hello? Hold on, Brandon. 2 seconds. I haven't used this thing in a while, so 1 second. One second. Hold on. That's on. Hold on. Okay, hello?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Brandon.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, Brandon. And fam, if you can hear this conversation, please hit the number 1 in the chat. That's crucial. Go ahead and say something.
Yes,
where are you calling in from, Brandon? And please, everybody,
I actually
hit the number
live
1.
in Boston Lake, New York. Probably only about 10 minutes away from there, but I got to pause your stream real quick so I can actually hear you. Sorry.
Sure.
So yeah, I live actually in Boston Lake, New York. As I mentioned in the chat, I am just around the corner from where her mother works at the local Stewart's, and she served myself and my wife coffee quite a few times, along with her coworker. That's actually the manager there. She had to call into her coworker to explain to her the situation.
Okay.
Obviously, you can understand that, and they're friends.
Mm-hmm.
So she ended up talking with her coworker, just to give you the gist of it, and they were actually only in the campgrounds just to drop the daughter off initially,
Wait.
along with her father.
So just so I understand, okay.
Yep.
So they went to visit. So the family, like, okay, so Trisha, David, Charlotte, and the rest of their kids went over to visit their, like, these family friends, right?
I don't know who involved besides Charlotte's mother and father that were over there. I don't have information beyond that, but it was Charlotte, her mother, her father. I don't know if her other siblings were there. They were there at their cousin's campground, which is in Moreau. And if you haven't been to Moreau, then you don't really recognize or understand the area. If you look at the map of it, the main majority of the people gather around pavilions toward the lake end, where you see the bathrooms at the complete opposite side of the lake, if you would.
Yeah.
And then Old Saratoga Road is just a main route of travel, and it's past Moreau, but it's a very well-traveled route otherwise, down to Wilton, and it's parallel to Route 9. So that particular area where they even speculate that she got taken, just so you understand, it has next to no shoulder, because it's right on a wood line through the actual state park that we have.
Interesting. Okay, so just so I can understand a little bit, so you said that your wife goes to Stewart's, right?
My wife, along with myself, the Stewart's is right off of our exit. It's not even a mile from my house. So we have two Stewart's in between us. They switch faculty every single week. But depending on where we're going, whether we're going north to my lake house during the weekends, or whether I got to go to work, we go to one of the either out of every single day of the week. But this Stewart's we go to probably 3 times out of the week. And she's one of the employees there. Her manager is the one that my wife spoke to this morning, though.
Gotcha. So why was there a phone call, right? Why was there a phone call to the work? Does that make sense?
I don't know if it was a phone call. I don't know if it was a phone call entirely. I know that they had a discussion.
Okay.
For 100%. That's literally what the manager was talking about to one of the other employees, along with the locals that were in there. And they were kind of briefing everyone on it. My wife got the gist of it and started talking to her. And then she filled my wife in with a little bit more information.
Okay.
And in our area is very, very tight knit. I mean, we have Shenandoah School District, which is where her kids are out of and everything. I don't know if you know the vicinity whatsoever, but there's families that have been around here for generations, and pretty much everyone knows everyone throughout the years,
okay,
especially with kids growing up.
Right.
Even though it's a very larger area and like 1,000 kids per graduating class, everyone knows each other. But the gist of it is not only do I have law enforcement that are family members local to here, I know that you're kind of debating some extent as far as what they heard, what they saw.
Right.
And it was confirmed by her, and it's not in the news. And along with another article too. I don't know if you saw the article floating around on Facebook, but one of their other family friends posted a Facebook article saying that it was captured on trail cam. We don't know the extent of that. They've been looking for several different vehicles.
Right.
About an hour and a half ago, a blotter went out about a white Honda Civic that was possibly in relation to this.
White
so
Honda
there's
Civic.
Other speculation. Yeah, a white Honda Civic.
Interesting.
That they had over the police blotter, because everyone's been saying an F-250, a maroon, this, that, or a truck, or potentially a camper, which that's a very good potential is a camper. Because if you think about it, it's easy pick up, get out. You could throw someone right inside the back, whatever,
Right.
and no one's to say anything if it was right at that campground. The logistics of even stopping with a vehicle on Old Saratoga Road would be next to nothing. You wouldn't be able to stop there. People are going to notice a vehicle stopping there. You'd have to have your hazards on. As I said, there's no shoulder. So it had to have been something within the general park and then back to another location. And that's just, if you actually know the area, it's right next to a check-in post where her bike was found. And that wooded line right there, all the trees are trimmed and everything because you go right into the park and they want to make it look proper. So you could see for 100 yards straight.
I see. Okay. Well, okay. So like I said, I have a lot of questions for you, and you're giving me a lot of stuff. So we're going to have to go one at a time because there's a lot to digest
I
here.
just wanted to give you kind of the background of the vicinity.
Yeah,
and I
appreciate that. No, seriously, Brandon.
The map and everything doesn't really tie in to give you an idea as far as how it actually looks around there. It's actually a very peaceful place for the most part.
Okay. Now, so just so I understand, because, like I said, there's a lot here that you even said in the chat, and I'm actually scrolling back. That's why I'm like looking off the camera, because I'm trying to find the exact things that you said here, because I want to make sure that, I got questions on the things that you've said. Something about the, so I have yet to see anything about a scream. Any articles being said about a scream or anything of that sort. Now, I have not heard the interview that Jana Sena had with Duty Ron. Now, if there was a conversation about said scream, among other things,
there was no conversation whatsoever about that, and she's really just a family spokesperson and getting her name out there and making sure that the story's covered. She has a really big press background, so she's getting it out to different news agencies and kind of getting the word spread further than our general area. She's been part of our area and part of different newscasts in not only our area but other areas. Sounds like throughout her career. But
gotcha.
it was confirmed because the mother actually spoke with the manager over at the Stewarts. I mean, it's not confirmed in media or anything else, and you're only going to hear these things through local sources before you hear from the media. Just like they're not releasing information as far as a vehicle or something perspective, because they really have no idea. The best way to go about it is to not only listen to the police blotters and understand what they're looking for, but get generalized information from your law enforcement. I do have law enforcement members of my family, more than one of them in this area, that did confirm that not only was it her croc that was on the ground, and it's black if you needed to know the color, but it was found next to her bike. And that was found within not 15 minutes. They heard screams in the general vicinity of the park, and there was a disturbance. And then within 8 minutes of her not getting back to that general area, they knew that something was up, because it only takes like 2 to 3 minutes to make a lap around it.
Okay, so
if you're unfamiliar.
So really quick, you said a lot there. So I'm sorry for breaking it down, but we all want to know every detail precisely and as best as we possibly can get it, right? So there is report, or you say through I guess neighborhood talk, for lack of a better term, they're saying there was a scream, or someone did hear a scream of some sort. Am I correct? Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, if you're familiar with that area, there's not a lot of tree coverage and everything, so everything kind of echoes in a general vicinity.
Wait, so
they have it trimmed more toward where toward where the campsites are. They have it trimmed more properly for people. And that's toward one of the main entrances, the guard post. Okay,
so really quick, hold on. Like I said, we're gonna go one at a time, okay? So, because I know you have a lot to say, but I want to break this down so that we all understand. So, yes or no? You said yes. Someone said they heard a scream. Now, as far as the map thing, okay? Because we've all done the tour through Loop A. From what I saw in Loop A, it is heavily wooded, lots of trees, lots of leaves and limbs. So you're saying something different right here.
There's trees around the actual vicinity, and that's to give main privacy. But when you're in the actual campground circle, the trees are really, really trimmed, and then even up to the entrance post, which is right there at the corner, they're very, very trimmed, and then it gets a little bit thicker, but then it also thins out much more along the road line. Even if you use Google Maps, you can see that. I mean, I could take a picture for you if you really need me to travel up there and show you just an idea of how clear that space actually is. Because you're relying on pictures that aren't necessarily of that general vicinity and accurate up to date. During the summer, everything starts to, especially pine needles and stuff, they start falling off. Coming into fall, everything starts to get more bare, and they really keep it trimmed and proper in that general vicinity to not only gather more guests and everything, but make it inviting and make it seem that everything's clear. You can see everything. That's the better majority of the way that the park actually is.
Gotcha.
And then outlying that is where you have the tree groves.
Gotcha. Okay. So when it comes to that, okay, because obviously I understand that the Google Earth images are not present day. Those could have been done a while back when the landscape of Loop A was completely different. That is a good possibility, right?
I go to this park. I go to this park every year or every other year, and trust me, they always keep it maintained. If you're familiar with Saratoga, everything's prim and proper in the area.
Gotcha.
I don't know if you know about Saratoga Racetrack or anything else that's local, but it's a higher end area.
Right on. Okay. And that's good. Okay. So can we talk about this croc real quick? Because I know that she was wearing, that tie-dye Pokemon shirt, the dark blue pants, and black Crocs, and of course a gray bike helmet. Okay.
So a lot of the misinformation too is around that Pokemon shirt. They were saying pink. It's actually an orange shirt that she was in too, just for your listeners and anyone.
Right. And then thank you so much for that. But and yes, there is that thing where some people were saying it was orange. It was, some saying orange, pink, so on and so forth. But thank you for that.
The aunt initially had said it was pink, but it was actually orange that she was wearing.
Gotcha. So back to the croc. So you said that there was a croc that was found, because I have yet to see any reports of that as well. And I'm not sitting here saying that you're lying. I'm not sitting here saying that this is all rumor, but they're saying that there was a croc that was found in the vicinity or near the bike. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, there was a single black colored croc that her family identified as being hers, a single croc.
Okay, so going back really quick, because this is important. You said that the parents went and dropped the kids off with other family friends, right?
Correct. They were over at the aunt's trailer, and they were dropping the kids off. They parked their vehicle at their site, and the kids were doing laps on their bike. Initially, when they arrived, they were ready to basically say goodbye. Their daughter wanted to do one more lap before saying goodbye.
Right.
And then from there, pretty much everything unfolded. They were ready to leave the campsite. Their intentions weren't to stay over at the campsite that night.
Okay.
The cousins were the ones that had the plot on the campsite.
Okay, so she wanted to go another round. So it wasn't very long for her. It wasn't very long until mom or, Trisha.
You could make it around in that circle in 2 to 3 minutes with training wheels.
Right.
It's a very short trip. So everything unfolded within 10 minutes of her saying goodbye to her parents.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So when it comes to that, okay, so there was a croc that was found, and so they were already looking for her within 10 minutes. Within 10 minutes of her saying, after her saying, bye mom, I'm going to be a big girl and do this one round, right?
From the sounds of it, yes. There was, like I said, there was initial commotion in the park. I don't know if they didn't think anything of it. But they did hear her scream, and then ultimately when she wasn't back within a few moments, it sounds like they went to check to see if she had maybe fallen off her bike or something toward that, because someone close to the campsite had either mentioned to them that they heard something toward her scream, or someone in the family recognized it. I don't know past that point. but obviously it was enough to make them to go search for her in the first place. And it wasn't a 15-minute timeline or anything toward that effect.
Interesting.
And the most disturbing part is we didn't get an Amber Alert in our area, if you're unfamiliar, until 10 o'clock the next morning. And that was the first Amber Alert. We got two within probably 4 hours of each other, one toward maybe 10 and toward 12 o'clock. But ultimately with something like this, and when they knew, especially with the parents' premonition and everything, I mean, there's no dangerous wildlife really near us. People will say that there's bears in upstate New York and all this. I've lived here for 32, almost 33 years. I've seen a bear one time. I saw a baby bear last year for my first time up even further north toward Glens Falls. There's no wildlife that people have to worry about. There's transients toward maybe Wilton and Glens Falls, if you're familiar with the area, to where there's pedo parks is what I like to call them. Trailer parks that they exclude them to, so they're not toward school zones and everything. Those are the most direct route locations within 15 minutes of that general vicinity.
Interesting. And and that's something I also heard, Jennifer Coffindaffer mention, and that was something I was going to even mention as well, just the possibility of SOs in that particular area as well, right?
Well, there's a ring of previous to even the last 2 to 3 years, you didn't see it at all, but there's been a ring of even homeless folks right up around exit 15, which is Wilton area, just down the road from this location, that will go out and solicit people for money and everything else. And they have a homeless encampment, and they've had homeless encampments in the area to where they get kicked out. But there's also a large presence of them that are friends with the people that are in the trailer parks. That's why if you look up exit 15 and Pyramid Pines in Wilton, they're very, very close along with the park that we're speaking in reference to. That would be the closest location as far as danger to that actual vicinity.
Right on. Okay. This is very interesting. And guys, yes, I did look him up and everything. So, this is really Brandon. So I looked him up. Okay, guys. So this isn't just some random faceless, voiceless human. And trust me.
I mean, I live in Boston Lake, New York. I've lived in Clifton Park, New York, which is only 5 minutes south of here my entire life. I also have a camp in Glens Falls, New York. So I know the area like the back of my hand, especially Wilton, because my wife's parents live right up in that general vicinity, right off Wilton. So in between dropping them off every day, I go coming and past that actual general vicinity of the park, in addition to us celebrating their year on or year off.
Right on. Okay. I mean, I guess if there's anything else you needed, like that you could give us, because that you may know, because apparently through the grapevine of certain things. And obviously all this is no disrespect to you, Brandon, but I'm just going to say that for everybody who's watching right now,
I'm completely with you. That this is fully, it's all hearsay.
Right.
It's all hearsay until we have concrete evidence.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I'm only here to convey the local, hearsay, I guess, rather, that people are actually friends and family members, along with law enforcement, that have shared things, you know what I mean, that necessarily haven't been released to the press. It can be taken for a grain of salt for 100%, but at the end of the day, I want people to know what they should be looking out for, get an idea of the area, and know that it wasn't just a random incident to where some girl walked off.
Now one thing though, you said that there was that someone heard screaming, right? Did we ever find out who heard the screaming? Who exactly heard the screaming?
So again, I had heard it from my wife, and I wasn't there for the full conversation, but they did clarify that they did hear screaming just before they started searching for her within that general time constraint. And I don't know if you're familiar with our area too, but I highly doubt this is tied in. Sam Humphrey case was a very big part of our area not even a year ago over in Schenectady, which is only 15 minutes away. Another young girl that had gotten taken potentially or whatever under mysterious circumstances, but either way, her homicide is what they labeled it, has never been solved. Nothing like this happens in our area, so to have two isolated incidents within a year in girls toward the same age and kind of on a bike path type of thing, something that maybe the police need to look in a little bit more too.
Okay.
Obviously, I made my uncle aware of that. I know that you're supposed to speak to law enforcement about it. But even the other Sam Humphrey incident that happened on a riverfront toward a waterway that's pretty well traveled as well, and they had boats out there searching for her and everything for a few weeks before they ended up finding her.
Yeah, and that's terrible news to hear about that too. But as far as that area, because remember, there was a press briefing yesterday talking about trying to find her, etc. There was one main question that they did not answer, which is surveillance footage, etc. Are there surveillance cameras in that park or no? Can we get that answer?
So there are actually surveillance cameras in the park.
Okay.
Upon you entering, and then around the general vicinity outside of the park. But other than that, for the most part, it's trail cameras, and those are active and live to the public. And that's mainly for nature life. So they've got like families of groundhogs and stuff that you'll see on some of the trail cams that people will document and everything else. There are trail cams throughout the woods, but it's not anything to where it's instantaneously viewable. I'm pretty sure it's like frame captures.
Oh, wow. Okay. So there's a possibility of either the live cams that are cams that are used to check out wildlife. Maybe they have captured something during that, but you're saying that the other cameras that actually surveil the area, the grounds, if you will, for humans, right? For the human safety, it's more screenshots than actual, like it's more like periodic photos taken rather than ongoing moving video.
That's correct. Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, not to dox anyone too,
Dang.
but supposedly it was caught on a trail camera outside of there. You can look up Debbie Perry on Facebook. She has an updated post about it, in which she states the family, initially she stated the family and them are aware of the trail cam presence and that it had potentially captured the incident next to the bike where she was actually abducted. She did in her initial post say that it captured her abduction.
Now, of course, that is okay. Perry with a Y or IE or Debbie with a Y?
Perrry. It's Debbie, DEBBIE.
Okay.
PERRY.
Got it.
Been in a local Facebook group that we have looking for her and everything else in addition.
Got it. Okay. Well, Brandon, I appreciate you calling in with all this information. It really does mean a lot. Real talk. It really does. This is something this is interesting, right? Because the law enforcement hasn't given us much information. News media doesn't have a lot of information either. I mean, we're looking at our boy JB, and he ain't got nothing. He's just basically repeating the same stuff that we all know so far. No disrespect to WFLA, all right? But we don't know anything. Everything's still just kind of up in the air. So if this trail cam is real, that she was captured on trail cam being taken, then I'm hoping they release that footage with the quickness, because it seems a little bit asinine for me.
You would think so.
Right?
Would think so. And again, with the whole hearsay, it has to go along with that. The lady obviously even edited her posts, whether that was for privacy or for law enforcement concerns.
Yeah.
But she has her post still up, which makes me think that it was maybe more of a law enforcement concern as to leaking knowledge, because at that point, if she was getting harassed and it genuinely wasn't someone that she knew or wasn't associated to, more than likely it would have been removed, because she has family that would be harassed and everything for making up that type of shit.
But Brandon, then the other question that I have, like my last question to you is why wouldn't law enforcement, like, what are they hiding? And I don't mean to get speculative or conspiracy theorists wearing a tinfoil hat or anything like that, but I'm just saying, why wouldn't law enforcement just put the information out there? Like, yes, we have footage, here it is, blah. What are they hiding? That doesn't make sense to me.
Your question is really as good as mine, and I think the better question is, why did our governor and FBI get involved so early if they don't have any clear signs that they've been releasing to the public?
It just doesn't make sense to me, bro. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for calling in. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you giving us the information. It really does mean a lot. So hopefully we'll talk to you again soon when we get closer to some more truth with this case.
Yeah, ultimately, hopefully, she's brought home safely into her family and everything, and we get a good resolve. And I appreciate your time and having me on here.
Anytime, brother.
If I have any other information, obviously, I'll share it with you. Again, all this is speculation and word of mouth locally.
Right.
But I can tell you for the better part of even what was on the initial scene, it is accredited to an extent. So we don't know what happened after the initial events. Everything will be kind of brought out into the media over the next period of time. Who knows what it is? But more importantly, we gotta find a resolve to get this child home.
No doubt. No doubt. I appreciate you, man. And yeah, keep in touch. Let me know what's good. If you know anything, because, you know, sometimes the streets know more than law enforcement and media. So, you know, if the streets are talking, you know, we might as well listen to them a little bit. Right. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Sir.
Take care.
Yep. Take care.
All right, man. Bye. So guys, well, one, I appreciate Brandon for hopping on and giving us that information, because let's be real, the streets is watching, the streets is talking. Now, let me just say this. Let me add to that and say, not every person that's out here in these streets are telling the 110% truth. Sometimes it's exaggerated. You know how the game of telephone is. At first, you're talking about a Snickers bar, and next thing you know, you're talking about Moby Dick. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty wild. It gets exaggerated. Things get wild. So I say, take that conversation that I just had with a grain of salt. The streets are talking. Of course, they're going to be talking. And I'm not trying to discredit Brandon at all. I'm just saying, take it at your discretion with that information that we just received. But 9 times out of 10, the streets will know more than what the media knows or what 5-0 knows. Most of the time, it's the media and the 5-0 that are late to the party on the information train, right? So I think this is interesting with the information that we know so far. Like I said, I have heard nothing about a croc. I have heard nothing about a scream, but we hear from another person who lives in the area that there was a croc found nearby, and that there was a scream that was heard during the time of her taking. Again, I say, take that with a grain of salt. Take that at your discretion. But it is interesting information nonetheless. Now, I will say this though too, and pardon the fly that's in this studio right now. It's bothering the hell out of me. But that still does not bring us closer to bringing her home. I'm just being honest. The one piece of information, if it is true, there's a woman that posted something all over her Facebook. She went and she edited her post that was, a viral post. I just didn't know her name, but I've been seeing it all over on X or on Twitter, being shared all over the place. And the fact that she edited her post. At that time, she was sitting there saying, yeah, there is actual footage of her actually being taken. The act of her being taken is caught on film, caught on video. She went and changed that. If the trail camera did catch that, we're just going to have to wait and see. For some strange reason, law enforcement is holding that piece of information. They're not confirming, nor are they denying that they have footage at all, which I find to be very, very strange. And I'm wondering why. And I feel like all of them, all y'all, can ask that same question. I'm not sitting here trying to say, oh, there's a deeper seated thing. And nah. I'm not trying to go down the conspiracy theory hole, all right? Or the tunnel. I'm not trying to go down there. But I do find it very odd that law enforcement would at least would not give us that information, nor if they do have that information, the footage, I mean, why they wouldn't have already put it out by now. The fact that it took them a whole night until the following morning, 10 a.m. and such, to put out an Amber Alert. It's very frustrating. Not sitting here saying, oh, there must be a reason. No, I'm sure they had to do their due diligence. They had to do their investigation, so on and so forth. And they all went down to the point of, okay, this is an Amber Alert situation. I just kind of wish they were able to get there a little bit faster. One of the things that I think that could really help everybody, including the men and women that are putting in their time right now, as you can see in this feed, going into the woods, scouring the woods, etc., is if they put out that image, at least an image, at least give us some sort of idea of what we're looking at here. Was it a group of people? Was it two people? Was it one person? What happened here? How did this go down? Those are the questions that I still feel have not been answered yet. And I feel like they will not be answered until they actually put out more information, or until they do a press conference where they're very much more transparent with the information that they actually do have. Real quick, we the captain now. Look at me. I am the captain now. Thank you so much for the 2. I appreciate it. Sadly, most people are oblivious to their surroundings. Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially if you go there a lot, if you go to one particular place a lot, if you frequent one spot, you get comfortable with your surroundings and you're going, oh, it's a safe spot. There's plenty of people around here. Honey, you want to go and take another ride on that bike? Go ahead. You good? And then something terrible happens, right? And it's still terrible, right? Jason Riddle said, please put out a press release. Let me check that out. Let us take a look, shall we? I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really does mean a lot, because you guys could be sharing your time with somebody else, but you guys could be sharing your time with somewhere else. But let me take a look at this. Let me see. Police. So I'm assuming New York State Police. No, I don't see any press release from the police. So far, but maybe I'm wrong. Hold on. Well, there is this, which I think is important to know. This is interesting. So new videos of missing 9-year-old released as New York search continues. But these are just videos of like home videos of her. I think there's one video that they've been sharing a lot of her making like a little joke while she's sitting in the car, so on and so forth. The first undated video shows Sena, who was last seen Saturday evening, sitting in a car and telling a joke. Why was the car embarrassed? He had bad gas. She was heard saying in the video. That's the video I'm talking about. Okay. The second video shows her sitting on the floor of what appears to be a living room while opening up a present. Now, the 9-year-old girl, we already know about her being last seen in Moreau Lake State Park. And we know all this information, but this is the shirt that she was last seen wearing. Okay. And of course, we already, or maybe you guys don't know, but FBI has gotten involved with the search. They said on Monday afternoon they are assisting local law enforcement officers in the search and said that the situation is still, quote unquote, fluid. The FBI is assisting our partners, and we have deployed essential resources such as victim specialists. The statement reads, we encourage the public to report any relevant information to local law enforcement. And of course, they announced on Monday afternoon that the continuous 24-hour search has expanded to over 46 miles and includes multiple state departments, including the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Services. Around 400 certified search and rescue workers are assisting law enforcement officers. Officials say that they are doing everything they can to find Sena, referencing the 9-year-old's kindness towards others and her huge heart. And of course, this is her again. But again, they're involved now. Police are, FBI. Let me correct myself. FBI is involved, y'all. So hopefully that gives us, hopefully that's great news, because maybe with their expertise, their experience, they'll be able to zero in on who this person is. The other thing too, I will say this too. Maybe if they do actually have footage of said act, maybe they're scared of putting it out here because they don't want this person to run. That's the only thing I can think of as to why they would hold that information and not give that out for all of us to see. The footage, because they're scared of that person kicking rocks. So maybe they want to give off the illusion that they're not hot on anybody's trail. But right now, it seems as if they're still just looking in the park itself, which is very frustrating, in my personal opinion, because I feel that whoever took Charlotte, gone. I don't think they're anywhere near the grounds of this park. That's just my theory. And of course, I could be wrong. They could still be hiding out there. You never know. It is a very big park. Let me just say that. Okay? But I do not think she's in that park anymore. I think they've ran. They kicked rocks, and they kick rocks hard. That's what I think. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Really does mean a lot. Shout out to the phone call. Brandon, I thank you for coming on to the show and giving us your information and your 2 cents about everything. I really do appreciate it, because we need to know what's going on. Boots on the ground information out here. So that stuff is very important, whether you like it or not. Okay. It is still important. Like I said, take that at your discretion. We are still going to be looking diligently into this case. We will be looking into this as much as we can. Of course, would love to get this young girl home safe and sound, back in her parents' arms and away from these evil, evil monsters. So we'll continue talking about it. We'll continue bringing awareness about this. And hopefully we will get some new information very soon. If there's any press conferences or anything new popping off, don't worry. We will be looking at it and checking it out live as a family. Trust and believe. Okay? Because I know that if there's a press conference, it's going to be very random and out of nowhere. I have a feeling. Okay. But anyway, guys, please do me a favor before you head out. Hit that like button down below. Crush it. Make it scream out your doggone name. That would really, really mean a lot. I saw a lot of souls in the house. I appreciate y'all for being here. Hit that like button down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you crush that follow button, please, and thank you. All right. And if you're watching on both platforms or either platform, make sure that notification is set to on. Turn that mug on so that you know when I upload or whenever I go live, because it is random. Okay. Anyway, guys, I appreciate all y'all for being here. We got more coming up. And when we do, you'll see it right here on the Pascal Show. Anyway, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.